It is 6 o'clock. I'll call the meeting to order. This is the regularly scheduled meeting of the Honey Grove City Council, and it is June 10, 2025. And at this time, I will identify the council members. We have Mayor Pro Tem Lane, Mr. Massey, Ms. Massey, Mr. Moon, and Mr. Caffey. And so just let me tell you quickly, we have one returning after having an absence for a time. Mr. Massey was on council, ran and was reelected this time, so we welcome him. And Mr. Caffey ran this time and was elected, and Mr. Moon was elected. So we have these council members who are with us and who will continue the work of Honey Grove. It is a little bit of a unique situation in that there are some names that are similar, and that's because there's some connection. So with that, it doesn't mean that any of us will always agree on anything. If we can come to consensus, that's always a nice thing. So with that said, I will ask that you bow for the invocation. Most loving Heavenly Father, we are so thankful for the opportunity to come together and to serve the citizens of Honey Grove. We hope, Father, that we are good stewards of the citizens' money, that we look after the citizens, that they are the heart of what we are about. Father, we pray tonight for those in our community who are grieving, those who are dealing with health-related issues, and we especially ask for blessings and your help and guidance for those communities that have suffered in the last few days with the storms that came through. We pray for their recovery. We pray tonight, Father, for our state government. We pray for the city government, and we pray for our nation as we struggle with issues that seem to divide us. Father, we thank you for the opportunity. These things we ask in your name. Amen. At this time, the public members may speak on an agenda item during the public forum section of the meeting or when the agenda item is called. So if you're speaking on an item that's not on the agenda, then during the public speaking time, if you are speaking on an agenda item and are here for that purpose, well, then we will call on you to speak at that time. Speakers shall be given 3 minutes per speaker. Public members wishing to address the council on non-agenda items may do so with a 3-minute limit per speaker. Consistent with the Texas Open Meeting Act, the council members cannot discuss non-agenda items. All speakers must maintain proper decorum when presenting and while in council chamber. Threats, personal insults, vulgar language, profane language are out of order and may result in forfeiture of the remaining time and possible removal from the meeting. Citizens wishing to comment must submit a request and be on the list when we start this process. And so with that, we will begin the public hearing, and we have Mr. Rapier, and Mr. Rapier, if you'll come up to the front and tell us what you want to talk about. Identify where you live, please. Your name.
Good evening. My name is Brian Rapier. I live at 500 East Main Street. I've been in Honey Grove for about 10 years now. The reason I'm here is for a water bill I had to pay. We've got a swimming pool in the backyard, and I had to maintain it. It broke down on me, so I had to drain it. Well, I drained it into a ditch on 9th Street, which eventually runs off to the river. Okay, I was billed for both the water that I had to put back in it, which is fine, I'm that. But I had a sewage bill for $297. That water didn't go to the sewage. That water went to the river. So I don't think I should have been billed for that. Now, I don't really understand when the meeting set up. I hope this was not on the agenda. I was told it would be on the agenda. That's my come tonight, so I can see what's going to happen about it. But apparently it was not on the agenda. show our normal usage when we don't have to fill it full of, and our normal sewage usage. And we've discussed that with the county. I'd like to see some resolution about this. Just one other thing. Now that we've got a new Indy 500 road out here, traffic is starting to speed up a little bit. It was already running a little bit too fast. I just wondered if we might get a little bit more control out there, slow some little people down. Thank you very much for listening to me tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ray. All right. There's no one else that's for non-agenda items, we will move along. Item 5 on the agenda is the consent items, the minutes from previous meetings. We have the city council meeting May 13th in your packet, for the special meeting on May 20th in your packet, the city council workshop that was held on the 20th. You have liabilities and disbursements, the city secretary report, police department report, utility department report, and the fire department report. And unless there are items that you want to address on any of these items, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda items.
I motion that we approve the agenda consent items.
We have a motion to approve the consent items. Is there a second? I have a second from Ms. Massey. All in favor? Raise your right hand. Motion carries unanimously. At this time, if there are concerns or there's information that you want to share with this audience, it's time for the mayor or the council presentations. Anything from the council? Okay.
I do.
Okay.
The storm that we had on, I believe it was Sunday, I know there was a lot of concern about the sirens not being sounded. I actually reached out to one of the guys from the fire department, and he said that because the storm was 8 miles outside of Honey Grove, that's why they chose not to set off the sirens. And the way that he put it to me would be like, if there was a storm in Ladonia, why would they sound the alarms? And it made sense to me. Now, since that, I have seen that there's been communication about the sirens not working and the council knowing that the sirens didn't work. And that was the first I had heard of it, about the sirens not working. So I just want to make sure that everybody knows that that is definitely something that I think all of us are very interested in making sure. I mean, just like everybody else that is a citizen, we're a citizen too. We want to make sure that the citizens are kept safe.
Absolutely.
I spoke with Chief Dixon earlier, and he said that there actually is someone that's going to come out and check the sirens tomorrow. So just so everyone knows, we are on top of it.
Good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We move to, there is no old business that we're dealing with tonight, so we'll move to new business. And I will at this time call for the public hearing. Let me get my notes where I need them to be. The city of Honey Grove is holding a public hearing tonight in this meeting regarding the submission of a grant application to the Texas Park and Wildlife Department. Topics will include the application for up to $150,000 to improve Crockett Park, eligible activities and match requirements. Written public comments regarding the application will be accepted at this address, and we'll have a public hearing, so that means you'll be able to get up and express your thoughts. Individuals who attend the hearing and need special assistance should have contacted already. Let me just tell you a little about this before you get started. This is a matching fund grant, which means that the city will have to come up with half of whatever the council decides that we can put aside to apply to the grant. It is one of those grants where the city becomes responsible initially for the invoices for the work that's done. And then the city is reimbursed half of whatever that cost is. So we have, it depends on what the city thinks we can start out with as far as handling the expense. And so the council has to decide that. Plans have to be in place, specific plans for the project. In other words, what do you want to do with the park? What would you like to see happen with the park? And the funds address those specific kinds of things. Donations can be given toward Honey Grove's portion, and there can be reimbursement for in-kind. If somebody has equipment or they want to give time to do whatever it is the park is calling for, that can be counted for Honey Grove's part of the 50% that we have to pay. That gives you a little bit of a sense. We have to, for sure, the designation for this park has to be in perpetuity. That has to be a park. It has to be open to the public. You have to have free access, and it has to remain forever a public park. And it has to be properly maintained. Those are some of the rules that apply here. So at this time, I open the meeting for your comments, and if you will come forward, and I'll just call, if you're here, Tanya, you want to come and talk on the park? Come on up. You're first on the list. That's why I'll have you come. You get to set the stage.
Everybody hear me? All right, so my name is Tanya Thrash. For those who don't know me, I'm one of the chairs for the Honey Grove Beautification Committee. I recently had the pleasure of joining Mayor Kathy Chastity, along with my co-chair Avery, my husband, in a meeting with a couple of the representatives for the grant committee. So I got to learn a little bit about it. He's extremely hopeful that we are good candidates. With everybody's support, I believe that we have a better chance. So I'm really excited. I am extremely proud to be part of this committee. The committee itself is super excited, motivated, and dedicated to assist and oversee the betterment of the park with the upgrades and the cleaning. We really just want to make a fun and safe place for kids, for families, and for future events. We don't want to have to hold everything on concrete downtown. As much as we enjoy that, we'll continue to do so. We would really like to open up the park, especially for holidays. You know, just different things that we can offer to show everybody how it can be, how it used to be, and how you don't have to spend an arm and a leg to do something fun. So we've already gathered a lot of support, donations. We're working with surrounding areas, citizens, to gain knowledge, history. What we have so far. We had a flagpole donated to replace the one that's in the park. We also have a flag that's being donated by Stephen. We're working with Carl Wild to ensure that flagpole goes up, properly is lit and maintained as far as keeping the flag in good standing. We received generous assistance from Charles Massey and the City Works guys. They went out and trimmed the trees along the path. They fixed up the bridge for us. Today, we've received a monetary donation from Gina and Richard Harper. We have promissory donations from C4 Realty and Tucker Trucking. Trailers? It's this guy. So we've got all those in the works as far as anything we need for supplies. We've got a lot of support. People here to talk. We've got a lot of letters. We're passing on to Chastity. Anything we get, of course, goes into the designated city account. Which seems to really be bringing in a lot more support because there's someplace specific that the money is going. So they're really enjoying that. Within the committee, the people that have joined are just super excited to go out and clean and paint and plant flowers. And we've got people who are going to fix the swing set and slides. So, yeah, the other thing is the path. We're trying to put the new trail down, so we have somebody coming out to basically kill the old path that's grown over. And we do have a donation of gravel that should be coming from the county commissioner. Outside of that, our plan is to really donate as much time and money as we can through the beautification committee to help the city with their part of the grant. We're already in the works of trying to plan music festivals and vendor events and things around the holidays to try and build fundraising. And like I said, to just bring people back into the park and show them how great it can be. So yeah, on behalf of the beautification committee, thank you guys for your consideration and help with this grant. Anything you need, just let us know.
Thank you. Ms. Pollard. She covered what you wanted to say. Okay. Okay.
And I feel uncomfortable going to the school. I feel like the kids feel uncomfortable walking there with everything that's happening in the school.
I can't hear you, but that's okay. If
Hello, I'm Nora Pollard, 1426 North 10th Street, and my physician for the years has said that I need to walk, and I walked there for a long time, and then the gravel got bad, and I was afraid I'd fall, and I was also able to walk the dog. Of course, nowadays you can't even walk the streets for the hogs and the dog. Now the traffic. And I've been walking at the school since these are closed, but I feel like that makes the children uncomfortable with the history of what's happened at the school. So we need to have a gravel, and they can put a layer underneath that gravel so it's not washed away in 4 months. A layer of something to help hold the gravel. That would be really helpful. And the benches are helpful too. When you first start walking, you can't walk all the way around. So,
thank you so much.
and then she's covered pretty much the rest of it.
Thank you for coming. Mr. Pollard, you're listed here too. See? No? Okay. Let's see. Zatavia Hayes is here for the park. Let's go ahead and do the park first. Hey, Zatavia. I might just mention that Zatavia is one of our new school board members.
Yes, I know it's school board, so if you have any questions, feel free to come to me after this. But yes, I'm Octavia Hayes. I'm a current school board member at Honeybrook ISD, and I'm speaking on behalf of the, beautification team. And so this was a part of my letter that I'm writing, but I wanted to condense it because, you guys have other things to do. A National Recreation and Park Association survey confirmed there are approximately 10,000 local governments and events that provide parks recreation services. In rural areas in the South with populations under 20,000, 33.1% of local governments offer these services. Parks are vital to the sustainability and resilience of all communities. They serve as spaces for physical activity and relaxation. They contribute to health and well-being of residents and foster social community or cohesion, which are essential for a healthy, productive society, especially local society. Outside the library, school events, and religious institutions, parks act as an inclusive space where people from all walks of life are offered opportunities for recreation, education, and cultural expression. Unfortunately, rural communities often face challenges related to the quantity and quality of recreational parks that support physical activity or social cohesion. For instance, the availability of trails or recreation activities are critical features of effective parks. However, many rural areas lack these resources due to financial constraints. I'm almost done, I promise. As I mentioned, rural parks often face significant financial challenges that limit the resources for effective park development. At the same time, studies show that rural parks are frequently underutilized, often because they lack features residents value, such as sports fields, restored infrastructure, and ordinance programs, as well as safe walking routes, an issue that we are familiar with here in Honey Grove. The city of Honey Grove is should be a priority for our current and future community. And finally, through grants and partnerships with councils or associations of governments such as the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department's Local Parks Small Community Recreation Grant, which provides funding for communities with populations under 20,000 people. So, for instance, this year, Blue Ridge, Cattle Mills, and Cooper, all three of those communities similar to ours, were granted the grant. I know Blue Ridge had 150,000, and then another one had 750,000. I don't know where they got that money from, but I guess they got it. But anyways, can provide funding opportunities for Honey Grove beautification team to repaint and restore the park equipment, improve accessibility, to encourage physical activity, restore community value, and increase park use and visitation. Furthermore, I have 2 more points. Plant native trees and flowers and install the park pool birdhouse to strengthen the park's green infrastructure practices, which research shows positively influence the frequency and duration of people's park visits, ultimately supporting higher levels of physical activity and life satisfaction. And finally, introduce workless and install a free library to promote literacy and learning while creating a meaningful outdoor experience for residents of all ages. Growth starts small, and then one day we can look back where we started and realize the small steps we took every day paid off to ensure the prosperity of the sweetest town in Texas. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank
Hayes.
you.
I don't have anybody else listed to speak on the park. I do want to ask, though, before I close this public hearing on the park,
Excuse me, I've written my name.
are you on here?
Gary
Are you
Tucker.
are you Mr. Tucker?
Yeah,
Are you down for the? You're here for the park?
I am.
Well, the reason I ask is that it says telephone here
Yeah,
beside it. Okay,
right.
come on up.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
Oh, no,
That's
no,
what I
it's okay.
stopped for because I didn't know
Yeah,
what that
my
meant.
name is Gary Tucker, and I live and run a small business in Telephone, Texas. And ma'am, I'm sorry I forgot your name, but if that lady's information isn't enough to go for this, there's probably not much I can say. But seriously, the key to the success of the program is people that are excited about it, people that are going to run it, and these guys are certainly in a position to have that excitement and understand that it's really not just a park, but it could be the beginning of a whole lot of things. Honey Grove is destined to grow and be a whole lot of things. And I've even looked extensively into what's called the RERC, and it's the recreation economy for rural communities. And what they do is they help fund. You know, we have a lot of things going on around here. There's 2 Great Lakes coming. There's a big hiking park that's being talked about. And I've talked to Judge Cunningham about both it and the RERC being built around both of these lakes. And what the RERC does is it helps communities bring these people into their downtown areas, and they show you how to do that. And there's done it in places like the Appalachian Trail, and it's sponsored by the EPA and the Texas Forestry, that's what the cattle grasslands is. So we have a lot of things, and they only pick a handful of people a year. And so this program, the beginning of this program, would be a help lead to start even bigger things like that.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Let me just tell you that the funding will, of course, go through the city, which is typical of grants. However, the beautification committee, which was discussed a meeting or two ago, had kind of assumed responsibility and taken on the task of working with Crockett Park. And so it was a natural blending of the two, work between the city and between the beautification committee, for us to come together. And so this group is going to lay out basically the plans, whatever the plan is, the details of the plan, and funding will come through, and invoicing will come through Honey Grove and this sort of thing, and then our part of the money. Now, it would be wonderful if somebody out there thought, you know, it would be great, the park would be nice for us to have a lot of money for that and donate a whole lot of money to do it, and the city would have to come up with less money. So that would be wonderful. I'm going to close the public hearing at this time, and it is 6:25. So thank you all for your comments. I will make one other comment, and that is that we've been told that letters as very simple letters can be sent, and the more the merrier. And they simply put that in the packet for the application. And we also will have folks who are going to write this grant for us. And of course, out of our funding, we have to pay those folks to do this. But Charles Edwards from GrantWorks works with us and has worked with the city for a long, long time and is absolutely spectacular in helping us to do what we need to do. And Charles said, the more letters, the better. So if you all can encourage others to simply send them down to Honey Grove, then we'll get those over to the other folks. The deadline for applying is August 1st. Therefore, we have to make some decisions. So, all right. We are now going to adjourn the meeting, and now we're going to, under C, the resolution authorizing the application to the Texas Park and Wild Department for a local park grant. So that's what you have next in your packet. And this resolution basically asks for the applicants for the people who are responsible, whoever is going to be doing this, the local park grant, referred to as the program. The applicant is eligible to receive program assistance. If there's need help to put this thing together, there's that. We have to be sure that we're fully eligible, which we assume we are, and that we're authorizing an official to represent and act for the applicant. It certifies that we're eligible to receive assistance under this program. Applicant hereby certifies that a matching share for the applicant is readily available. That's why we have to think about how much the city can afford to do this, and authorizes and directs the mayor to act as the applicant dealing with the department for the purpose of the program. And the mayor is hereby officially designated as the representative in this regard, and then authorizes the official to make the application to this department. So that's basically what the resolution calls for. And so once we have discussion, questions, I'll entertain a motion to authorize the application.
I have a question, Mr. Mayor. It may not pertain to this part, it may pertain to the actual application services for the grant.
Could you use your mic? I'm sorry.
I gotta figure out how.
Okay.
Just press it once.
I'm sorry, I grew up on loud rock and roll music. And let me warn you, there's nothing like having to wear hearing aids and still not being able to hear real well.
Can you hear me now? All right, so my question may not pertain to this particular thing. It may be the next application to the services agreement to the park grant. I'm not positive. But looking through the packet, one of the things, obviously there's a lot of financial obligation, and I don't want to disparage the merit of the project by any means. I think it's a great project. But for the park grant, it says that the city or the client would have to pay the consultant a fee. Now, is that part of this part or part of the next part?
Well, it's the fee that we pay for.
The fee for the consultant.
That will come out of our funding, out of the funding that we get. Yes, we'll have to pay them. We always do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that will come out of the grant itself, not out of the taxpayers' money.
Yeah, I think so. We'll have to ask for sure. I just know that we have to pay, whether it comes out of the grant or whether it's part of our match. The total amount of money, whatever that is, we will pay them out of the funds. And we probably will pay some of it.
Okay,
that would be my guess.
This says the consultant fee will be $6,000. And then it says that, obviously they will match whatever we provide, which, as Tanya mentioned, congratulations on being president of the chamber now, right? Yeah. So she's going to be a very big part of it. But she said she already has some donations in cash, so that's great.
Yeah.
So wouldn't have any problem getting matched for that. But I don't know if that will go towards this $6,000 to help cover that. And also, the disagreement mentions in section 6 that it doesn't provide grant management services after we're awarded the grant. So that would be an additional funding that the city would be responsible for providing, correct?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay. I only ask because I've had a lot of feedback about other projects that the
Yeah.
city has tried to do, and other people have had concern about spending the taxpayers' money on projects that we need to spend the money elsewhere on.
Yeah.
Like the streets. And I've never heard anyone complain about the street being fixed as I did now. So that was an interesting perspective. But
Yeah.
so those were my concerns with this and voting on this is where is that funding going to come from? Is it going to come from taxpayers or donations? Because if it's 100% donations.
Well, and we don't know whether we would love to have donations that would cover our part of it, and it can happen. That can be part of it if we were to get enough donations. A lot depends on what the city, if the city wants to do this, it depends on what the city comes up with as far as what we can spend, and we have to make that decision. And then, if we say, let's say that we can come up with, I'll just use a figure, so not a big figure. Let's just say we come up with 50,000. We say the city can come up with that. Then the matching grant is 50. So that's $100,000 with my math. But that may not be what the city thinks we can do. And I will just say this, I would rather see us be realistic and be able to do what we set out to do than for us to set something up here and say, we'll come up with 150,000 to match their 150. That's a lot of money to come up with.
So what do we need to approve now?
Well, we clearly have to have something to them by the 1st of August. So we can put this on a workshop, and we can call a workshop sooner than later. And I can actually have Charles Edwards come and meet with you and answer those questions.
Can I
And
make
he'll
a
do
motion
that.
that we do that?
Would you like to do that?
I would indeed.
Huh?
I would like to
Yes.
make a motion.
Okay. So we'll do that in a motion?
Yes.
Okay. We have a motion to put this on a workshop and bring it, and do we have a second? We have a second from Ms. Massey. All those in favor? Motion carries. And we will have Mr. Edwards come and go over all of this with you and answer. And in the meantime, with that, the council will discuss what we can come up with as far as what we believe we can spend. So we come back with a recommendation. Does that work? Okay. Very good. All right. And we can go through.
Can I make a comment or ask a question?
Yeah.
It would be helpful. I'm happy to put that on the workshop, but is there a plan by the beautification committee on as far as, whether it's going to be playground equipment or rock for the trail or whatever, as far as money that we need to kind of have, and can we get that? Because I haven't seen any kind of dollar figure. That would really be helpful to know, kind of, even if it's just a ballpark of what we need.
Do you want to do a presentation at the workshop?
We do know that the playground equipment is our #1 priority.
Right.
Because it's terrible. And then everything else is bonus, but we do have a lot of different ideas. We've been doing a lot of research among all of us. So we can definitely get some figures put together to get you guys, probably with the next workshop.
Yeah, you want to do a presentation at the workshop?
Sure.
I think that'd be great, just so we have kind of an idea of what we're shooting for here. It's just kind of, up to $150,000. That seems like an awful lot that the city would have to come up with $75,000 if we got that much money.
Right. We do have a lot of fundraisers planned, and we can actually map that out for you too, what we have planned and yeah.
It'll also be good to know from, I guess, our grant writer, if the donations that we have are in-kind services for the city, whatever that dollar amount might be. So if you've got a donation of rock, it will be good to have what that's worth, so we can put that against what the city is obligated for. And then also, if you guys come up with somebody who might be willing to give us reporting on where the money goes, because I can tell you from writing grants, the state expects you to report that at least twice a year, and it's a lot of work. And for us to put that on the city secretary or somebody else, so maybe put that as part of your plan on how you intend to do that.
And you all think you can come up with something? If we set a workshop, you can come with something you think. Okay. You think you can. Okay. Very good. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Do we have to use their consultant?
Yes.
Okay.
We use them.
Okay. So we couldn't get Mr. Caffey, Mr. B. Caffey to
Mr.
do the
B.
grant?
Caffey to write the grant. You can,
I write plenty at work. I don't want to do that again.
no, don't ask Mr. C. Caffey to write the grant.
I will be happy to help. So if there's...
I did that a long, long time ago, but not anymore. So, all right, we're going to move then to item 8E, a resolution approving the execution and delivery of a grant agreement for water system improvement, resolving other matters related to the subject. And this is the Texas Water Development Board. We're getting assistance in the city of the amount of $3,776 in the grant. And this was money that was allocated to us after the sewer project got underway, which was kind of exciting. And these funds can be used for trying to take care of some of our water issues. We have with us tonight Miss Deanne Carson, and she's been, I have to tell you, Deanne has been outstanding as a consultant and walking Chastity through a lot of things. I haven't been very much help with her on some things, but Deanne and some other folks have been very helpful. I think Chastity would echo that very much. So thank you. Go ahead.
Y'all have been great too. Between Chastity and Sarah, we had almost a catastrophe. This deal almost totally blew up, totally. And it would have gone, all that grant would have gone. But those two ladies got it together on Friday afternoon. It was almost 5 o'clock. And we didn't know what to do. The attorneys were on the phone. We thought, what are we going to do? And they came up with the solution, fixed it, and here we are.
And that's good.
And, again, I'm Deanne Carson. I'm with Government Capital Securities, and we are the financial advisor for the city. And I'm the one that always comes, but I've got a large group of people behind me. And it is an honor to be y'all's financial advisor. We work with small cities. We don't work with Dallas, Fort Worth, any of the big cities. Because small cities have their own issues, and we're familiar with that. And tonight, this is the third financing with the Water Development Board. This is third and final. It's the total is $4,196,000, and most of that is a grant. $420,000 is the part that is the loan. So that most of this is a huge grant that goes with all the other Water Development Board fundings that y'all have to improve the water and sewer plant. So y'all are on the way to having a much better water and sewer plant. And I put a payment schedule in front of all of y'all. This is for the $220,000 that's your financing, and it has all the fees. See, everybody gets a little piece of it. There's $77,000 in fees, Attorney General, Bond Counsel, Attorney General, QSIPs, us, a lot of people involved. And then it comes down to the delivery date of 7/10. That's the date that this will fund and will actually, when funded, you can start the project. On the second page is the payment schedule. This is a 30-year financing. The payments are about $25,000 a year. On that second to last column says total debt service. That shows your interest payment and your payment for your principal and interest payments. It goes all the way through to
to 2055. And should have a page after that, I'll have one. It says aggregation report. And the aggregation report is all your debt. They combine all your debt, including this, so you kind of get a handle of what all. Yeah, the aggregation report, it just goes through all the way to 55 and just shows you everything that you owe for the year in the total. So it's $255,000 a year. Y'all, that's a big sum, but we're getting a lot for that, a lot of grant money. Did y'all have any questions?
Questions? The resolution, of course, with this, it identifies the people who essentially are authorized, which authorizes the mayor and the mayor pro tem, the city secretary, to be kind of the people who handle this. The engagement of Government Capital Securities as the financial advisor for the funds, and Deanne has been great at working with us in other capacities, and the engagement of McCall, Parkhurst, and Horton attorneys, a bond counsel to the city connection with the issuance, sale, and delivery of public securities, and the receipt of financial assistance from the Texas Water Development Board, such as the grant. So, any discussion, any questions? Not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the resolution.
I motion that we approve the resolution for the execution and delivery of the grant agreement for the water system.
We have a motion from Ms. Lane.
I second.
We have a second from Mr. Cathy. All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. All right, that brings us to item 8F, and I think we're up again.
It's all part of the same.
No, okay. An ordinance, this is an ordinance authorizing the issuance of City of Honey Grove, Texas, combination tax and surplus revenue certificates of obligation series 2025C in the principal amount of $420,000 to fund the water system improvements, awarding the sales and such certificates of obligation to the Texas Water Development Board, and resolving other matters subject to this. And if you look at the information that you have been given, these funds will be used for the purpose of working on the ground storage tank, such projects that the city has, such as ground storage tank, water lines, ground storage, fire hydrants, pumps, valves, fittings, any infrastructure improvements, paying legal and fiscal and engineering fees. We always have legal and engineering fees that go along with all of this stuff, and folks who work with us. And so this is the ordinance that authorizes the issuance of the funds. Questions, comments? I'll entertain a motion if there are no questions.
I'll make a motion to authorize the issuance of the City of Honey Grove combination tax and surplus revenue certificates of obligation.
We have a motion from Ms. Massey that we pass the ordinance authorizing the issuance of the funds, $420,000 to fund the water system improvements. Is there a second? Second from Ms. Lane. All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you all. Thank you. And then we're down to 8G, a resolution authorizing and directing the establishment of construction accounts. If you get the money, you have to put it somewhere. And so authorizing, directing, and establishing construction accounts with depository bank pursuant to grant agreement. appointing authorized signators with respect to such accounts and resolving other matters relating to the subject. And so if you look at the resolution, you'll notice that it goes through a number of things here, whereas they identify the depository bank as being Veritex, the bank, and it's an account separate from all other funds, accounts to be known as the Series 2025 Construction Fund and a construction account. And then we also basically see the public need and the public benefit, and this is in the best interest of the residents to open the bank account in this particular bank, and that the adoption was in a public setting and public has been notified. And they also give electronically, the banking transactions may be given electronically or faxed to the bank for execution, and authorizing the mayor pro tem, and city secretaries as signatories on this account. Questions? Discussion? I'm open to a motion if you're ready for a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, I have a motion from Ms. Massey. Second?
I'll second it.
Second from Mr. Moon. All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you all. Thank you so much, Deanne. We appreciate your help.
It's been really fun.
Okay.
What a great city.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And you're welcome to stay as long as you want, or you can slip out. I think you have a drive ahead of you, don't you? All right, that brings us to 8H, establishing a fee schedule for permits and inspections. And Sarah and Chastity have worked on this, and we've had discussions. Let me just kind of say this. The council, we've struggled back and forth over time with permits, especially where the city is receiving any funds really from the permit. What we've done is that primarily when we have folks come and get their permit, they're coming to get their inspections set up. So if you're building a new home, then there are certain inspections that are required. And so we have a Bureau Veritas that does that for us. And so right now, that's who we use. We have a contract with them. And so they charge us a certain amount to come to do each inspection. Now they come back the second time if they have to come back. They do not charge us the second time, but they charge us up front. And so what was happening is essentially we were collecting money for the inspections, but we were not collecting money for permits that benefited the city of Honey Grove in any way. The city of Honey Grove cannot function without income. Let me just say that again. We can't function without income. And there's not a lot of ways that you can get it. And it isn't about getting the funds, it's about supporting. And let me tell you part of the reason. Even though, let's say you build a new house, and what you come in and you bring your plat and your plans to Chastity, and you have everything there, your layout so that your setbacks, everything is there in your plans. Chastity sends that to Bureau Veritas, to Maurice Swanky, who looks it over and is sure that everything is laid out the way it needs to, that all the setbacks are there. Well, we're charged for that service. This just doesn't happen free. And so there are services that we engage whenever we're involved in these transactions. It's more than just the city staff writing a permit. There's other kinds of things. Sometimes we have attorney fees. And sometimes, depending on the project itself, we have engineering fees. If we have the engineer come, sometimes we have folks come who are trying to build a number of homes. And whenever we do that, we have to be sure that the city can provide the services that's going to serve those homes. We don't want to get so many people here that we can't service the folks who now live here. And so the engineers are great at helping us to figure out, can we provide the service to these individuals? So there's some fees. So what you have in front of you, Chastity and Sarah have worked on this. And by the way, what they've done, this is not unusual for any city. In fact, most cities have, and especially larger cities, have extremely high permits and inspection fees. And so what Sarah did is that she reached out to communities all around us, and every one of them have fees attached, and some do it one way, some do it another way. And so what they came up with was that when we get the information for Bureau Veritas on what it's going to cost for the inspections, we looked at primarily looking at 40% above that for permits for the city. And it really doesn't change a whole lot. At one time we were charging for permits, and the city was getting money, and we got away from that a little bit. But for example, additions, alterations, repairs, remodels that require inspections, the fee is $110 plus 50 cents per square foot. And so it really becomes, and they rounded it up to the nearest dollar. And so it's about 40% above what that is. And when they got down, you'll notice, council, that with residential permits, no inspection required. For roofing, it was a $55 fee, fencing was $55, demolition was $55, no electrical, a sign fee was $55, a culvert was $55, and there's a fee for failure to adjourn. Part of this too is that if you don't have something in place, Chief has a code enforcer officer now. And when the code enforcer officer goes out now, right now, it's hard for him to point to someone who's building something and say to them, well, where is your permit? See? And so it's very difficult, puts him in a difficult spot. But these are the suggestions. They're not written in blood, they're not written in stone, but they are suggestions for the council to consider in establishing fees that include, and where it is inclusive. For example, there is a place where no inspections are required. In the top part on residential permit fees, in-ground swimming pools, including plumbing and electrical fees, that includes the plumbing fees, and that includes the inspection fees. But this is something for you to consider. And as I said, we've discussed it long and hard, and honestly, none of us want to spend money that we don't have to. But in order to do the business of the city, everything is more costly for the city. Everything that we do costs more. So, council.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to clarify too, it's not so much, you still can't hear me?
Now I can.
Okay. It's not so much about the city generating revenue or bringing in income as it is just covering costs and not losing money. So I think that's important to clarify that. And I'm glad to see that our chief enforcement officer is wearing a tie this evening. It's very presentable.
So I have a question.
Okay.
If I fail to get a permit and you're gonna give me a fee of $110 for a non-inspection required, who's going to enforce that? Is it a ticket or?
When they come in, when we tell them to go to the permit, they're gonna charge $110.75. So if he's out and since doing stuff, they don't have a permit. Well, they could have got $55, so they don't get a permit.
So when they pay the 110, it covers the 55 inspection also. It's just an upcharge for not obtaining it the first time.
Okay, so it would be cheaper for me to not get a permit than to get a permit to get my swimming pool put in.
That's a $220 failure to obtain permit fee.
Yeah, but you're saying that the 110 covers that $55 on the bottom. It's cheaper to just not get a permit for an in-ground swimming pool and pay the $220 for failure to obtain.
See what she's saying? Yeah, I wouldn't give this as a category, we can separate it from this top one. We could, and charge them double if you don't get it. We just say double of whatever you should have got.
So that 220 is not on top of the 500 that you'd have to pay?
I mean, that's what I was just,
Yeah, so they'd have to pay the 500 and then the 220.
And that's the way I read it at first, but whenever Ashley asked about the failure to obtain on the bottom one, they said that 110 would cover the price of the inspection or the permit plus. So it's covering the $55 and it's giving us, yeah.
So maybe putting the swimming pool in a different category and charging for the failure to obtain on that, just for clarification.
And also, this is a small list, and I didn't get to get it out to you guys quite in time to ask your opinion.
Right.
There should be more. According to what the different cities that I'm looking at, all around here, there's tons more fees than what I had originally listed.
Other comments? Now, clearly, I'm of course, I'm of the strong opinion that we have to operate on some sort of permit system. It doesn't have to be this, and we can modify this. We can take it back to the workshop and work it over and bring it back. I think that at some point, we have to have the permits in place. And we can always make adjustments down the road if this is not working. We can make the adjustment that you suggested. Sarah can take care of that. So we could actually put this in place and with the adjustment.
And with the additions that you're going to make to it, you could just bring those back to council and we can approve those and add them to the list next time. Yeah. As long as you can change the in-ground swimming pool to a different category to make sure that the failure to obtain at least covers the original permit fee also, then I would like to make a motion to approve this with that one adjustment.
Okay, we have a motion to approve this with the one adjustment that Sarah will make. Is there a second? We have a second from Mr. Massey.
Brandon, do you have something to say?
All in favor?
Hold on just a second.
I just want to kind of clarify on the failure on no inspections. There's roofing, fence permits, demolition, and all those things. I can tell you in Bonham today, all the people that are getting roofs fixed, Brahms is a good example, they don't have permits yet. So I want to make sure that the public understands, as long as they get that, even though work may have started, they wouldn't be necessarily charged. I know the city of Bonham is overrun today with problems, but people have to have a roof over their head. So I'm all for failure if you just willy-nilly don't do it. But I want to make sure that everybody understands, if you have an emergency, we're going to work with them, if that makes sense.
Yeah. If it's a natural disaster and something comes through and we're bombarded with a ton of people, then I'm sure we could make adjustments to accommodate everyone.
Let me tell you another value in having to get permits. When you get the permit, if they're doing certain kinds of work, the office staff is going to find out who is doing that work as well, that permit. And so in natural disasters, what happens is we're flooded with people who come from out of town and come and give you a bargain to put your roof on, and there you are. And so that at least has some control and saying to folks, we know who's out there doing their work. So we have a motion and a second. Do we have a second? Do we have any other comments? All right, those in favor of the structure of this permit and inspection fee, all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries unanimously, no opposed. All right, thank you. This is, I appreciate that, and it's just where we are, and it's where, like I said, we're not unique, and I will tell you that our fees and inspections are not nearly as expensive as a lot of other people are. Okay. With 8I, what we have right now, and this has been true since I've been mayor. I've been mayor 9 years. It's a long time. But here's what happens is that the office staff is engaged in their work, and maybe they're working on budget, or they're working on payroll, or they're working on right now, a lot of things that we're doing is paperwork that has to do with these grants, and they're detailed, and they require a person to be really focused. And so what happens is somebody comes in the front door or the side door, the south door, and they're there, they're ready to do some building, and they've got their plans. They have expected primarily to be taken back to the back, sit down, go through everything with them. And it means that that person who was doing something prior to their coming has to stop. And then when the person leaves, you've got to go back and figure out what you were doing and where you were. And so what has been suggested, and Chastity is the one who, and Sarah, who does a lot of work with folks who come in, is that we identify certain days and that we encourage folks to do an appointment. And if we do that, then if it's going to require information that we need to get from our city attorney, or we need to get from the engineers, or from Bureau Veritas, we can engage those people and say, we have someone coming in that we need you to come and help us with this particular one. They're coming on this particular day. And we can be better prepared to serve the person, the citizen, who's coming in trying to do that, and better serve the work that needs to get done at City Hall. So that's what has been asked for. And what they are recommending, what is being recommended, is the first Tuesday and the third Thursday of each month of scheduling meetings for anyone who needs to come in and speak about planning and zoning issues. And that gives folks plenty of time to come in and do that. And for us then, to get information that we may need. And when they're visiting with Sarah or they're visiting with Chastity, that we get them on the schedule. And if there's anything the person needs to hand to Sarah, that would be helpful in getting, when the meeting comes, they can hand it out, hand it to them, and go on their merry way. We set the appointment, and they come back, and we're ready for them when they come back. All right, open for discussion.
How did you pick those dates?
No, it was not.
I don't have a problem with it. I'm just curious, more than anything, for people to know when they're gonna come in and get a permit. It seems like it would be easier to have the first and third Tuesday, or, something similar.
Well, we did the first Tuesday of the month because that's before the second Tuesday of the council meetings. And did the third Thursday because I was basing it around the workshop, so I can have time to talk with y'all, Hamilton, and anybody that I need to. Just that was the reason why we came up with those dates.
Mr. Hamilton, can you hear?
I can, yes, sir.
Okay, good.
Yeah, like I said, no problem with it, just more curious than anything to make it easier for people that are coming in to apply for permits to know which days, and also easier for you guys too, you know, so you're not having to look at the calendar every time and say, which is the third Thursday, which is the first. I'm not in disagreement with it, it's your schedule.
Yeah, that was the reason why I was just kind of basing it around when we meet with y'all, so it can kind of just help out.
That's for sure the dates you want?
If y'all are okay with it, it's y'all's decision.
You're the one doing the work.
I know, I'm fine with the dates, it's up to y'all.
And I will tell you right now, it is particularly difficult. One, because we're down a staff member. I said we're down a staff member. And so if somebody is out, everything is moving pretty quickly at times when trying to get everything done. So,
Did you have a comment, Sarah?
I just want to make sure it's clarified that this is, you can get permits anytime. This is for planning and zoning.
This is just for new
yeah.
builds.
Well, yes, anything you build.
Other discussion? Are you ready for a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the first Tuesday and the third Thursday of each month to be set aside for meetings about planning and zoning.
Okay. We have a motion from Mr. Moon that we approve and dedicate the first Tuesday and the third Thursday each month for scheduling meetings with anyone that needs to come in for planning and zoning. We have a second? Second from Ms. Massey. All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Brings us to 8J, lease agreement with the city golf course. Ms. Massey, have you had a chance to look over this lease?
I have looked over it. This is everything that we discussed in the workshop, so I don't have an issue with any of this. I do have a few things that I need to get to Mr. Hamilton as fill-ins, but other than that, once we get the fill-ins, then we should be good to go, as long as I'm going to abstain from voting on this.
Okay. But you're okay with
yes,
the
I'm okay
lease
with the
agreement
lease
as
agreement,
it is,
yes.
with the addition that Mr. Hamilton needs to add?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. That agreeable, Mr. Hamilton?
You bet.
Okay.
I tried to memorialize everything we had talked about and the conditions of the lease was just terminate by itself to either party, terminate the lease, and those, as I understand from my assignments, plus the idea that the permitted use for this is only to reconstruct, organize, and maintain the golf course out there.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, and just for clarification, for those of you that are listening, if at any point in time we do have someone that decides that they want to come in and purchase the golf course and completely take it over, the lease would then terminate with the club that it currently has, and they would take it over, and it would be sold from the city. So just know that it's not being held hostage. If someone were to come in and want to purchase it, then we're more than welcome to
You don't
do
want to
that.
buy it?
I don't have the money for it.
What? Your dad down here.
Oh yeah, big money down there.
That part is actually, that thing that Massey just talked about, is actually memorialized at the bottom of page 2. This is section B, the termination date. It's actually right there.
Okay.
This really reflects, I think, Mr. Hamilton, the lease agreement that we've operated under mostly in the past. It's very close to what we had. Yeah.
That's correct. I don't think we require people to be a 501c3, but the rest of those things about them having insurance, and if it's city-owned property, we can sell it, and it's a lease. That has been historically how these things have been drafted.
Right. Thank you, sir. All right, I'll entertain a motion. If you're ready.
I would just make one comment on page 1. About 3/4 of the way down, it says term months, and then it says 2 years. So whether you want to say term years, 2 years, or months, 24. On the first page of the lease.
What page is it on?
It's on page 1.
Right under premises, Mr. Hamilton, where it shows the term months, he's saying change months to years, or change the 2 years to 24 months.
I see, yeah, they should match one with the other. If it
Yes.
says months, then it should be months. If it says years, it should
Okay.
be it. Thanks.
Okay. All right, does that answer your question?
Yeah, and I would make a motion to accept this.
Okay, we have a motion from Mr. Caffey that we approve the lease with whatever additions that Mr. Hamilton needs to make. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second from Mr. Moon. Ms. Massey is abstaining. All in favor? Mr. Caffey, Mr. Moon, Ms. Lane, and Mr. Massey vote yes. Therefore, the motion carries. Thank you, sir. That brings us to 8A, structural engineer Markham. Let me tell you that we had a structural engineer scheduled to come this morning. Chastity reached out to 2 or 3, and he had a family emergency and had to cancel. So he thought he might come on Friday of this week. So I'm going to suggest that we pull this from the agenda and bring it back, please. Item L, take home city vehicle privileges for public utilities, public works. We've had this discussion.
Was
Yes.
K to approve the structural engineer, or was it just to speak on the structural
We just asked
engineer?
him to table it until,
Okay.
and have him come and just give us an idea.
Okay,
That's
okay.
what he was going to do.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right, we've had discussions about employees taking out of the utilities folks taking their cars home, and we've gone back and forth on this. Basically, I think the discussion has been more inclined not to do that, but I'll open it to you again, and counsel, you respond. Any comments at all?
I mean, I know we discussed this in the workshop, and I still stand on the city vehicles remaining at the city unless they're being used for on-call or during business hours.
I think that's pretty much the consensus for everybody. My main concern is just, it's really, in my opinion, more about employer retention than anything, and I wouldn't want to just pass it and say, yes, we should automatically do that. My only thing was, it might be something that we should look into, especially considering, the situation with this current city secretary being void, things like that. We want to take care of the employees that we have and take them into consideration and make sure that they feel that they're valued, et cetera. So that was my only concern with that, and my ideas behind that. So.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments?
My concern is the liability aspect of it, period.
And Ms. Lane, I don't disagree with that at all, but my only thing was, it might be worth looking into what that liability would involve was all, so.
And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Hamilton, that's been part of your conversation in the past as well, the liability for the city.
That's right. The insurance policy is going to be the name of the city. So if there's an accident in Trenton or an accident over in Greenville, the city's insurance policy is going to be up to that. It's just simple, unless you require those people to get their own insurance coverage on that car.
Okay. All right, if there's other
Wait,
comments.
hold on.
No.
I'm so sorry.
Go ahead.
He just
No.
said, Mr. Hamilton, you just said unless you require those people to get their own insurance policy on that vehicle, would it be as a secondary?
It would have to be, but I would say if you're going to drive that city car home, then primarily the city would look to your insurance policy because you're using it, you're driving it outside of town, and then the Honeycomb policy would be the secondary one. If you're really interested in liability and being stewards of tax
All right, other comments, questions? Do I hear a motion?
I would like to make a motion that we keep the privileges the same as far as the city vehicles staying on city property.
All right, we have a motion that the situation remain the same, that the city vehicles stay on city property. Is there a second? Second from Mr. Massey, a motion from Ms. Massey. All those in favor of the motion? It's unanimous, yes. All right, let me find my spot. The next item is M, and that has to do with moving the display cases at the City Hall to the library. And I will say this, I have had a conversation with Ms. Sherwood about the feasibility of doing that, and she seemed amenable. Now, I think probably she would need to take this idea, if we approve it, she probably will have to take it to her board to be sure the board agrees to take responsibility for the material that's in them and the cases. But we've had this conversation. I think it opens up some space at City Hall in the hallway for other use. So, but it's up to you as council. I'll enter other comments or questions.
I think it's a great idea because where the stuff is located right now, the public is not even able to look at it because it's in behind the door that's closed. Yeah. So I think it would be a great idea as long as the library can get it approved. Yeah,
and most likely some of it would go into the local history room, probably. So do I hear a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Could we put some type of stipulation in there that they can't throw it away?
That's a hard one. They won't throw it away, I don't think, but okay. That's a hard one.
Well,
I think.
If it ever goes out of use or they don't want to use it, they have to return it to the city.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah, we could do that. Okay. Yeah.
If they don't want to use it anymore, they don't want to display it anymore, then they'll return it to the city.
That'll be great. That's a great idea. I do know this, that with, there are folks who offer their collections to the library, and they'll say, I'll give it to you if you don't do it, if you keep it forever. And they can't really promise that. They don't have space for it. And so, but yeah, I think that's a great point to make. So do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
That it would be returned to the city if the library decided at some point they could not handle it. All right, we have a second. Second from Ms. Lane. All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. N is the duplex ordinance. Interestingly enough, Mr. Hamilton, I'm probably going to call on you and some others about your recollection about this ordinance. I know we had a long conversation, and I don't remember whether it was in a workshop or whether it was in a council meeting where we had conversations about the structure of the duplexes requirements.
It was a workshop.
Was it the workshop?
Yes, sir.
My question is, I'm not sure that we ever really brought this to council and passed it. Is that your thinking?
That's my recollection. We had, could there be multi-story duplexes? Do you want to limit the height so they could only be a one-story, maybe a boat's a two-story, but a height limitation on them? And the other thing was how many could you have per block?
Right.
On a city block. Those are my two recollections. Right.
Okay. I just could not, and I have gone back. I've gone back through our minutes. I've gone back through agendas and to look to see if we had minutes somewhere that suggested that we had actually approved these, and I can't find it. We may have done it, but I can't find it. So we're open for conversation about what you have in front of you, and if you decide that you're ready to approve, then I'll entertain a motion. But now's questions and whatever you have for it.
Mr. Hamilton, are you saying that we need to add that it can be 1 or 2 stories?
You can. I would call that being a conversation where how many you could have on the block. You didn't want to hold the block full of duplexes, so there's I think 1 or 2 per city block.
Yes.
And if that's something you decide to do, then you need to state that. And the other one was there were height restriction on them where they couldn't build a 4-story duplex. They said, hey, we're just one of us on the block, but we're vertical. So those are 2 issues that I would put up in the ordinance. And I don't think that was. I think the thing about how many could be in a block is in there.
It is.
The height restriction is not.
Well, it says here a height of no more than 20 feet exterior measurement from the peak of the roof. And
So it sounds like that was edited in after we had those conversations.
yeah, this is, and then we had a square footage of 1,000 square feet for a 2-unit bedroom and then a minimum of 1,500 square feet for a 3-bedroom duplex. But this is what I recall, but I don't recall our ever taking action on it.
Okay, but I have a question on this too.
Yes.
The 1,500 for a 3-bedroom duplex, and I think we had this discussion before, is that the whole duplex or is that per side?
Well,
it says in the
I don't know
deed.
that I understand your question.
It says-
It says square footage for a triplex. Is that the question?
what is the question?
It says a minimum square footage of, oh, never mind, it says per unit.
Per unit.
Disregard.
Okay,
That's what I was saying.
same question.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, maximum of 20 feet exterior measurement from the peak means it's gonna be single-story duplexes only.
Yeah.
With parking, a lot of them have stuff over the garage area. Is that something we might wanna take into consideration, especially since we have to have off-street parking?
I think that parking was part of that.
It is, but that's what I'm saying, if they have to have off-street parking, can we build above that off-street parking and have 2 stories? Is that something we want to take into consideration? So maybe having a maximum height of 40 feet instead of the 20. So we can have 2-story duplexes.
Here's my thought on that is we have a board of adjustments. If somebody comes in and they want to say, hey, look, we'd like to build above the storage unit there, that needs to be approved on a site-by-site basis so that the council can kind of embrace what the architecture going to look like, tell us what it's going to be, where it's going to be, how it's going to look. And that probably is a good way to handle that, is just say you'll have to ask for an adjustment on this particular ordinance if you want to build vertically above your storage unit. We want to know what that's going to look like and what your plans are before you start driving nails and putting in wiring and get an a variance on it.
So before Bill, what he has said is on the different ordinances that we have, we can keep the bone structure the same way that it is, but if someone wants to come in and do that, we can just add a variance to the ordinance and pass it through the Board of Adjustments.
So there is room for variance.
There is room for variance if they present it to the Board of Adjustments.
Okay, duly noted.
And that goes with
Other-
the ordinance that we have.
Other questions? Comments? If you're ready to vote, I'll entertain a motion.
A motion that we accept the duplex ordinance as presented.
We have a motion from Ms. Lane that we accept the duplex ordinance as stated. Do we have a second? A second from Ms. Massey. All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. The signage ordinance. If you look at your material that Chastity has given you, If you will remember, and I honestly had to go back and dig through previous meetings to kind of figure this out, and then with some help from Mr. Hamilton, and we had an ordinance, a sign ordinance that was 17 pages long. And in February 11th, in 2025, we were examining that 17-page ordinance. You don't have that 17-page ordinance.
We do have.
Do you have it in the
Yes.
packet? Okay. We were examining that. And that evening, the discussion was, let's look at various sections and pull sections out of the ordinance. So if you look at the bottom, this happened to have gotten on there. These were the sections that the council adopted in February 2025. Section 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 8, 9, 17, 18, and 19, and on 12/10/2024. And so what's happened is we have an ordinance that was approved. Ms. Lane made the motion. Mr. Hall seconded the motion, and I believe Mr. Peavy was not here, maybe, I don't think, but it was adopted and passed. So the ordinance that was signed, sealed, and delivered is the 7-page ordinance that we have with those items on it. Questions or comments? Mr. Hamilton, you want to say anything?
The reason it has, actually references 17 pages of the original document I had, my staff says one of 17, 2 of 17. That's in a footer on that document.
Yeah.
When it was edited, my office didn't do that. We didn't do the editing. I think it was probably edited by either the PDF form or some other form. So that footer was not automatically changed in the section between now. But you would look at that and go, well, we're missing some things. And if you look at it too, there are section numbers that are just vacant. So, but that's how that was done.
Yeah. We did have the 17 pages in the workshop, Mr. Hamilton. So that's my confusion. I apologize.
Is that directed at him?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Mr. Hamilton,
Just
Mr.
general.
Moon asked a question.
It wasn't a question. We did have the 17 pages, the full 17 pages we did have in the workshop. So we were able to go over that before. It is, my question is, all of the items in this 7-page that we have in our packet were approved in February, I believe, except for 4 and 8, correct?
The items that were down there, and then I believe there was a footer on there that said those.
Yeah.
When it was edited, mine or my belief is probably that not all of
Oh, I
those
see it.
sections were removed.
Yeah.
So section 8 was
That
approved.
document that is signed right there, that's the document. And so we do have a signage ordinance, it says all that, but it may need to be tuned up a little bit to actually reflect that. And then some of the discussion we had in the workshop, maybe we might need to start adding some of these things back in there that were taken out. But yeah, there's still an inconsistency in that ordinance based on some of those sections that the city council said they didn't adopt, put in the document and signed. So that's usually that's a problem.
This is, Mr. Hamilton, the document that we now hold people to at this point, a 7-page document. And if, essentially, if going down the road, we see things that should go back in there, that's what you're saying. If we would go back and add those things and update, which happens with ordinances. Yeah.
And that document is an ordinance.
Yeah.
It's there, so.
Yes, sir.
That's, if we want to do some amendments or changes, those things need to be discussed and brought about. And if you have the 17-page draft, you'll see what those sections were that were omitted, and that would be a good place to start. But we want to put those back in there now. Arnie was happy
So we have the document, it's already been approved.
I do have something.
Yes.
So last night I was at the chamber meeting and you guys had discussed a sign. So I just want to make sure that, so this is the sign ordinance that we're going to refer to. So if you guys want to check with her just to make sure it falls under that, if not, then there may be something that you guys could bring back to us and say, this is what we plan on doing. And that's something that we can provide a variance for. Okay. Okay.
Thank you. Okay, AP is requiring a written document for any complaints that citizens have. And this is essentially, is helpful to have, if somebody's complaining about, if you have a complaint about something that requires the police's attention, we don't say to you, come up here and fill out this this form so that we can hand it over to the chief and they'll get back with you. This is things where somebody is complaining about a citizen, they're complaining about something that they think is going on, and they want attention brought to it. And we're asking, or you're unhappy with Mr. Massey, and you want to complain about Mr. Massey, then you can come in and say, come, write it down, put your name and address. In other words, we're trying to ask people to own their complaint, to kind of come forward and say, this is, I'm complaining, and this is who I am. So that's what this is about, and Chastity has provided you with a sample of a possible form that can be used.
It is the one that y'all use currently. I just, Brendan had asked about the form, so I put it in here so y'all would know. Yeah, it's on the table out in the lobby.
Does it look good to you, Chief? Does it? Okay. Okay. Questions, comments?
So just to clarify, if I come in to complain and I don't fill out the form, then there's nothing that can be done.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So does Mr. Rayburn need to fill out a complaint form about what he brought to us this evening on his water deal?
It's already actually been taken care of.
Okay.
You just wanted us all to know.
We have policies that reflect his, we have minutes that reflect what his concerns were, so we have created policies and those are in, so he'll be taken care of.
We had recently did like a one-time pool fill for a discounted rate. For a water leak, you get like one-time forgiveness per year. So we had implemented that a few months back into a policy and with the water. So his situation had kind of already been handled. Now, would he need to fill it out for the street for patrolling? Okay, so anything like that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, no.
No.
Lee said no.
No. Lee said no. He didn't want this. Okay.
So anything to do with the police department, no. Anything to do with the city hall, code enforcement, staff, council, yes. I would prefer to have that on paper.
The usual rule of thumb is if you want to make a complaint about a person, an employee of the city, then it needs to be in written form. If you're going to complain about your road not being graded correctly, or there's a pothole in it, then no. Or we need another street sign up. But if it's a complaint about a person, and it's significant enough to get you on board about this, then you need to be able to, or be willing to write it down and sign your name to it.
And own it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
that's
so.
correct. That's correct.
I just want to address that, whatever you guys did back a while back about the it's one time a year.
I think it was 2 times a year
For the leak.
forgiveness for a leak,
Yes.
but once for a pool fill.
So if I drain my pool above ground every year, I get a variance in my bill every year, if that's the case?
On your
or-
sewer.
Okay.
So you have
But
to
not
pay
on
the
your
water
water.
line into it, but you don't pay sewer on that water.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, just make sure if it's once a year, I mean, or
both or indirect?
Well, either
Okay.
or, but I'm just saying. if they-
Chastity will email you guys both one so that you can look at it.
Okay.
Now, as far as the water, do they have to provide a water, or a invoice from a plumber? Like if they have a leak and the plumber comes, they have to provide proof.
Evidence that Chastity brought to me this week, yes, you have to bring a receipt.
It's a reflection of y'all's minutes from that meeting.
Yeah, that was one that I was kind of tough on. My thought was if you want a pool, you build a pool, then you ought to fill it. That's my thinking. That's what I did. I emptied mine one night, I put the backwash on, got up the next morning, looked at it, my pool was empty. I had to turn the water on and pay for it. So I'm kind of a toughie if you're gonna have a pool and fill it.
I'll
That's
review
me.
those documents when she sends them to me, but I am curious about whether it's an in-ground pool or an above-ground pool.
Yeah.
But I'll look over that, so.
You know, well, this has to do with complaints, and I won't say this, I'll say this another time. Okay, any other discussion on this item?
No.
I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I motion that we approve the complaint form for any type of complaint resolution necessary on behalf of people or issues within the city,
Okay. Just not the police.
just not the police department.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
A motion from Ms. Slane, a second from Mr. Cathy. All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Q is a temporary part-time office support staff. And what I'm suggesting is that if we can just get Chastity and Sarah and Amy can get somebody to just come in part-time and pay them whatever the basic salary is that we pay people temporarily, this would be helpful to them.
So if we were to hire temporary staff and say we get 3 or 4 applications for city secretary next week, and we move fast and we hire this person, do we automatically terminate this temporary staff, or?
Yeah, that
I just
person-
don't want to waste anybody's time.
Yeah, well, any person that we would hire would know that this is temporary. You're filling in, and it may not unless
So
you're.
they would know
applying
it may
for the
be from a
position.
week to.
Yeah, but
year.
you might apply for the job and get it.
Okay.
But, yeah, they
Do
would
we
know it
need
was
to have
temporary.
clarification of that for this consent item? Do we need to have clarification of how temporary is temporary or anything to that regard?
Well, what I had in mind was something where that could assist, just in the office, answering the phones, being present. It's like today, Chastity had a funeral to go to, and it was a significant, important person to her, and so she was involved with that. Sarah had to be gone some, and so we end up with one person in the office, and that
No,
was Amy.
we absolutely need to give them some assistance. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, do we need to clarify for this action item, do we need to clarify how long that temporary position will be? Or is it we're just voting to say we need to hire somebody temporary?
Yeah,
'Cause I agree with that.
we could clarify that it is until we hire a full-time, we decide about a city secretary. Is that what you're
You can
asking?
say, hey, we won't, because I don't know if there's budget money for temporary people, that's a question to ask.
Yeah.
Is this, where's the line item for them? There may be money, but you may have to transfer. The thing is, you got your budget workshops coming up, so, look, in 2 or 3 months, you're gonna be talking about budget, and that's when you look and say, is it temporary or is it permanent? So maybe that's the timeline, Mr. Moon, that you need to look at, just a thought.
2 or 3 months might be a long time.
Here's what I'm about to suggest, and that is that both of these items probably come to the workshop. I thought about this a good bit after we got the agenda printed, but I think it would be better for us to talk about this in the workshop and see, and to consider where we get the funds to do this, and then to talk about the potential of some adjustment for this temporary City Secretary. I know that some of you know, and probably all of you do, that Chastity has taken on yeoman's work in this job, and coming to it, it is not the kind of work that she had been doing. And I will tell you that she has stepped up at times in talking to attorneys and people from the Texas Water Development Board, and been very direct and assertive in dealing with things where questions came up. I will tell you that she actually was, she and Sarah, had it not been for the two of them, we would have had a problem with our COVID money, getting that finished out and getting that taken care of in this office. And so they've done an outstanding job with the work they're doing, and I can't say enough. But I would suggest that we put these 2 items on the workshop for consideration.
Can we turn that off?
Did it go off? Okay.
Hold on. You can't hear that, but I can.
Oh, I can't hear it. No, I can't
Yeah,
hear
I
it.
can't.
Unplug it.
Yep, just unplug it.
I thought it was somebody's phone ringing, but.
Are we still recording? Okay. I think we can go ahead and finish up, if it's all right. I'll entertain a motion for these last items to go on the workshop, Q and R, temporary part-time office staff and salary adjustment for the interim city secretary.
I motion that item Q and R go to a workshop.
I have a motion for Ms. Lane. Do we have a second? Second for Mr. Massey. All in favor? Motion carries. And with that, we will adjourn at 7:43. What time did we start?
6 o'clock.
My iPhone is talking back to me.
She's been
Mr.
talking to you the whole
Hamilton?
time. It's been talking to you the whole
I know
time.
it. Mr. Hamilton, thank you so much.
So this is
Always
Chastity.
flesh.
She is our interim city secretary.
So where are
right
you now?
now?
Where are you?
He's the one that is the information. So he sent it over to me.
We appreciate you taking time out with us and being here. You're always helpful.
He lives
Keep
in
it going.
but he wants to
It's just it. All right.
He got me the information, I'll send everything over to you, and then once she contacts, I'll have her reach out to you.
I gave you background for it and everything.
Yeah,
I
so you
live
know
in
where.
Avery.
It's right, it's what next to it.
I bought the whitish bluish house next to
I
Stone.
think that's not but if you can double check and make sure, and then we can.
Because I called Bob Barker every so often for the last couple of years and was trying to see if I could push I know the process.
So you're on Scott, you're looking at Scott Street.
Yes, sir. I live at 803 Scott Street. I purchased the home in November of 22 next to Stony.
Is that next to Stony?
Yes, sir. The house just to the
Right next to 12 Street. 12.
Yes, sir. So the lot, the parcel just to my west that completes the corner to the 12th Street.
Yeah, slender lot. You can't put up no house.
You can't put no house on it. And according to the CAD, no one's been paying taxes on it
Oh,
since 08.
that's Lynette Fitz property.
Yeah.
I guarantee you.
Let
Which
us,
side is it on, that side or this side?
It's on the
It's
west side
Oh,
of my
it's on
house.
this side.
It's on the north side.
Oh, no,
Yes.
hers is on the side.
yeah,
It's real slim. I know David Bass bought that larger lot back there and then the little funky one in front. And the one just to the west is the one I was wanting. And
So
no
I
one's
had
paid
asked
taxes on it
about,
since 08. And I've been
changing
keeping it up and
portion.
trimming trees and keeping it pretty. And I was with my grandparents are getting old, so I wanted to give them a place to build a small home because no one else will, honestly. It's a tiny lot, and I got five. Yes, sir.
we may be able to do something.
And I will buy
Nothing else could
permits
go there.
if I build something.
Yeah, nothing else could go there.
Yeah, they're